BMW IBSF Skeleton World Championships continue here in St. Moritz in Switzerland. We are 1,800 meters above sea level in perfect conditions on the only natural track remaining still in existence. Hello everybody, welcome back to our coverage of the women's competition as we head into this deciding day, heats 3 and 4. We have 31 sleds still in our field. I'm Martin Haven, Liz Meyer. We had a fantastic day of action yesterday, and your former teammates are absolutely knocking it out of the park.
Totally, completely firing it up. Jane Chanel to be in this third ranked position. St. Moritz is not generally the best track for her, but she laid down 2 sweet runs to be in that medal contending position.
She's not the only Canadian either. Mimi Reniva, 2-time World Cup winner on this track, has certainly found her happy place.
Definitely. She's won races here before. She's very talented on this track, struggled in training, but knew what to do when it came to race day.
But despite their experience, they are trailing Germany's top slider from Dresden in her first full season of World Cup sliding. The 2022 Junior World Champion, Suzanne Kreyer, is our overnight leader.
And she had 2 really great runs. She was able to get through those tricky bits and have 2 phenomenal runs.
And she's got a comfortable margin, at least on most tracks, but this tricky St. Moritz track this year has been throwing a lot of curveballs at the athletes. 3900s ahead of Mimi, who is 1100s ahead of Jane Channel, but behind Jane, 4th and 5th are covered by only 900s from the medals. Jackie Narracott, a winner on this track in February 2022, is among our sliders. And at the bottom of the top 20, Great Britain's Brogan Crowley and rookie Tabby Stocker. And they will be battling for a place in the second heat. Only the final heat, only the fast 20 go through. Agathe Bessar with a muscle tear in the first heat, unfortunately, is not in the action. There's Jacqueline Lerling in the centre of your shot. Suzanne Kreyer, her young teammate, on the left. And actually, I was wondering whether Suzanne Kreyer, should she win today, will become the youngest ever world champion. The answer is no, she would not. She would be 24 years old. Younger than her when she won her first gold was 4-time champion Tina Hermann. There is Tina. She was 23 years and 352 days old. But she is not the youngest world champion. The youngest ever women's skeleton world champion is also in the field, which means that it was Jacqueline Lerling who won in 2017, aged 22 years and 19 days. Well, she may not add a second World Championship gold today, but she is in the frame. And the German women may be learning yesterday from the failure of the German men to find speed, are just looking a little bit more composed. But the Olympic champion, Hannah Neiser, the reigning junior world champion also, she's down in 13th. I mean, that's not where you expect to see her.
Definitely not where you would expect to see her for sure. The Germans this morning, the men were a little bit off, but the women definitely, I think you're right, learned from that experience.
Suzanne Kreyer, let's see what our young leader has got going on in her head today. She led both heats yesterday. She's had to sleep on the fact that she might become world champion today. 5:26 getaway, not quite as quick as either of her starts yesterday. So let's see what the sled has got for her.
And what a position for her to be in, leading, going into the second day. I can't imagine what she was thinking. Probably difficult to sleep overnight. So let's see if she can keep her composed and really put a run in.
From Dresden, her home track is Altenburg, and on her sled are stickers from Francesco Friedrich, the world's greatest bobsledder, also based in Altenburg. So if anybody had some calming words for him, France would be your man. And it looks like she is not overdriving. It looks like she's nice and relaxed on the sled, but there are a couple of errors there.
A couple of errors for sure, but great speed. She's having a really good, quick run with a minor bump, but the rest is looking really good.
Fastest speed yesterday was 140 kilometers an hour, 138 in the first heat. The track will speed up as the day continues, 85.8 miles an hour, because apparently that's not quick enough. 108.77. She had a 108.12 and a 108.26 yesterday, so that's half a second slower than her best run yesterday. that might have left the door open a crack. We will know in the next 4 or 5 sleds how this track is playing out today for our women competitors.
She looked a little bit off balance there when she was going to load onto her sled. You can see she's going to pop her hands underneath her legs into that big swooping horseshoe corner. Nice and calm, nice and relaxed, toes together, really good aerodynamic form, not looking up until right there.
Yeah, she knew where she was going, and that smile says it all. That does not look like a woman under pressure, but she is under pressure. Mimi Reneva knows how to win on this track. Talk to her coach, Snorre Pedersen. He's here this week with her, and he said Mimi is really struggling to work this track out. Well, yesterday she had certainly sorted out some of the gremlins. Can she do it again today?
Really big toe steer. She goes in the first kink.
5:34 compared to a 26 and a 25 yesterday. She hasn't got as good exit velocity as well coming down this second straight as Suzanne Kreher, so she's dropping time to her German rival.
And you mentioned that this is her happy place, and she's been successful here before, but because it's handmade, it's natural, it changes every year, and it gets tricky. Big skid there.
Yeah, big skid indeed. Let's see if she can close the gap. It is coming down. That slower start hasn't helped. Just a little steering coming into horseshoe. Nice exit from horseshoe, but still half a second back. The gap's grown.
Good entry into Devil's Dyke there, though, and Suzanne struggled, so we'll see if she can haul it back a little bit.
Well, she still hasn't got the speed of the German athlete. 1:13.8. She's about 1 kilometre an hour down in terms of pace in the forest. Little meander down the straight, second best speed. She's not going to gain. Suzanne Kreher will maintain the lead. And Mimi is 7/10 back. That is an enormous margin to make up in one heat, because that's what it is now. It will be a one-heat race for the two of them.
Not a bad-looking run there with a couple little exceptions. Might be scratching her head a little bit based on setup.
Well, Mimi's best ever World Championship result has been an 8th place finish. So this is a huge step better than she's ever performed in the Worlds. She has been a 2-time winner here in the World Cup racing.
Just coming off the second snake here. It's been really difficult for athletes, but she puts herself into a really big skid heading into Sunny, which is the sunniest part of the track.
Snake bit Mimi Reneva, second place, but the gap opens. And does that leave the door open for Jane Channel to move up? We saw a lot of motion in the third heat, in the top 5 in the men's competition. Let's see if Jane can overhaul her teammate. She was only 11 hundredths back. She does start quicker than Mimi, normally by about a 10th. But she needs to be in the teens here. And she is 5:19, that's what she wanted.
Only a whisker slower than yesterday, which is really great.
And that means that she is already ahead of Mimi Reneva.
Jane looks very relaxed on this track this year.
She's had a bit of an up and down season. Until she got to Altenburg, she had not even had one top 6 result. All of her runs were pretty much in the teens after Whistler, where she was 8th. So a medal here would be an enormous PB for her as well.
Nice exit out of horseshoe. She's having a great run here.
And she is really reeling in the leader. When she lay down, she was 43 hundredths back. She's barely half that back now. Good speed as well. Okay, now this is where Suzanne Kreher really started motoring.
Really nice looking run by Jane here. I've never seen her slide like this in St. Moritz. Well done.
Well, her form just suits this track so well, and Jane Channel moves up into second place. Half a second back, but she is now in the silver medal position. Well, her World Championship best, same as Mimi, 8th place. So that was, in fact, she had 2 8th places in the last 2 Worlds in Altenburg, 20 and 21. So, boy.
She also had a 4th in Winterberg many years ago at World Championships.
Oh, she did indeed. You're right.
I gotta sneak that one in there. Good start by Jane. She's so quick on the start. Been struggling with injuries the last few seasons, but boy, she come back into her own form.
Yeah, Winterberg was her World Championship debut. A woman from North Vancouver. Now then, we start to move into Olympic medalist territory. This is Kim Boss. Kim was the Olympic bronze medalist last February, and on this track she was the silver medalist a couple of weeks before that. 5:19, another big start. She was only 400s behind Jane Channel, so if she has a similar run to Jane, then as in the men's race, the overnight bronze medalist, in this case Mimi Reneva, might drop to 5th, which is exactly what happened to Marcus Wyatt in the men's race.
Definitely. I think we can expect a lot of movement from these first few athletes. It's such a close race. It's so exciting to watch.
Well, she is already, from the start, up to 3rd place. She was less than a 10th behind Mimi from the overnight rankings and started quicker. So she is now looking at a potential World Championship medal to go with her Olympic medal. Oh, big hit there, though, and that's a shame because she had great speed on board.
See if she can hold on to a little bit. 1:15 in the forest. That's great.
That is fantastic. 71.4 miles an hour. Little flop there out of leap into Gunter Sachs.
Ooh, she's laying down the fastest run. Oh,
yeah.
Too soon.
Now she is moving ahead of both Canadians right now. She's in the silver medal position. Kimberly Boss. Oh my word! That is the fastest run of the competition. Suzanne Crayer came out 1:08.77. Kim Boss 1:08.48. Hello.
Wowzers.
Well, if she maintains that advantage in the final run, Crayer's only 2,500s up. Kim Boss will win. There's the pressure suddenly for Suzanne Crayer. There's the sled's builder, Kristen Bromley, the 2008 world champion. But boy, oh boy, Kimberly Boss.
Yeah, a little bit squirrely out of the grooves there. I mean, her toes are tapping. She's got a bit of a skid. But I was just thinking about overnight going at the Olympics. She had to fight from behind as well, so she knew exactly what she needed to do going into today.
Well, she doesn't know how to lead. She knows how to chase, though. And that, hello to everybody at home, and that big hit into Devil's Dyke, that made the difference between being second and tying for the lead. Now then, Tina Herman, she knows how to win a race. 4-time world champion, the most successful world championship women's skeleton slider ever. And she's a junior world champion on this track in 2010 as well. She knows how to win here.
Took a lot out of that first curve there.
Well, that is a 5:41 start, a 5:19 for Kimberly Boss, who she's trying to chase down. She's only 500s behind Kim Boss from the first 2 runs. Her speed is never at the start. It is always, the longer the track, the more of a threat Tina Herman becomes.
Definitely. We see her losing a little bit of time here, but once we head out of Horseshoe, we should see that gap getting quite a bit smaller.
Well, she better. She's nearly a second back coming into Horseshoe. She had better have the afterburners really lit.
Okay speed out of horse, definitely not the top we've been seeing.
She's not moving up at all.
No, she's falling back more.
Okay, here we go. 3rd best speed, so she could close down Mimi Reneva. She's got to make up a 1/4 of a second on Mimi on this run. Best speed at the bottom, 1:38.4, 86 miles an hour. And at the line, still in 5th place, not enough. Tina Herman's run of world championships since 2016 at your home track in Innsbruck has only been interrupted in Koenigsee by Jackie Lerling in 2017. She has won in Whistler and twice in Altenburg since then.
She's so consistent. She's a great slider, great athlete. She's got her own style. You can see her head going left and right. You see it the whole way down the track. She's such a perfectionist when she's on the sled. Oh, big bump, though.
Big bump. And her sled, built by Dirk Matchens, who has had so much success with the Chinese men, and yet, it's not got the speed for Tina here. Now then, what about Janine Flock of Austria, lying in 6th place overnight? Always a threat. She is such a field slider. She's got such great form and great kit. Let's see what she can do.
Janine had back surgery earlier in this season, so for her to be back, sitting in 6th place at this World Championships is really phenomenal.
Multiple World Championship medalist Janine Flock. She has never claimed the top spot yet, but you're absolutely right. Her start is not where it ought to be. Oh, and a little skid from Snake down into Sunny, but at the moment she is overhauling Tina Hermann and trying to close on Mimi Reneva.
Definitely, she posted this morning. She's going to fight. She's going to try to move up the rankings.
A big shout out again to her partner Matthias Guggenberger, who's worked with her for so many years on her sleds and on her technique. Hope he is feeling much better today. Best speed of all for Janine. Here she comes. She's still a threat for the medals.
Oh, Janine, this is a great looking run with a
just avoids the wall. Best speed of all, 86.1 miles an hour. Insane speed from Janine Flock. She's fourth.
Wow, good
One
job.
out of the medals. And how many hundreds away is she? Well, Jane Channel, 54 hundreds back. She is 69 hundreds back. 15 hundreds difference. Jane's run was a 108.81. That was a 108.82. They are almost level pegging. Again, it is a one-heat race for the medals here.
Definitely. And Janine had some mistakes here. You're going to see her toes popping out. She's trusting her line. She's just peeking up just as she exits out of Horseshoe. She knows it's a blind exit, so she doesn't really need to look. That small brush just sneaks away from that left wall as she heads into Martineau.
Wow. Well, I've often said that running fast to last really just solidifies everything in a World Championship. Not here it isn't. Not this time it isn't. Jacqueline Lurling then. Jacka did not make the World Cup team this year. The real problem for her is her start does not meet the German standards, and they're a bit picky about that. So she has had one World Cup race, but she's the 2017 World Champion. She knows how to win races. It's not about the start.
No, definitely not. And she's won an Olympic medal before, so she's no stranger to the podium on big stages.
Exactly right. Silver medalist behind Lizzie Arnold in Pyeongchang. She's got 3 World Championship silvers as well as that 2017 gold. She is a woman for the big stage, and the longer the track, the trickier it is, the better she works.
Nice looking line there to Snake 2. I think the best we've seen so far this morning.
Needs to be good from here on down because the speed is not where it was. Okay, good start, good drive. Speed's not enough. Hits on Devil's Dyke as well. I think that is the end of the dream for Jacqueline Lurling.
Pretty good speed, but she's got a huge gap trying to move up the ranks.
Yeah. 1.4 off the lead, and she's not completed the run. As ever, Jacka, a fierce competitor. So stylish to watch, but across the line, only the 7th best run. She finds nothing against her rivals. And that is so unusual. Normally with Jacqueline Lurling and Tina Hermann, they get left behind at the start, but they have a top gear that few can match. This weekend, it ain't there.
Yeah, just missing something a little bit. Into Horseshoe here. Great form. You can see that left toe coming out to try and affect the sled. We steer with our head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Quick look as she heads into Telephone. She takes that bump on that right side. The other girls have gotten pretty clean through this run.
With mixed emotions there for Jacqueline Lurling. What about Kim Marmons, the Belgian? Crashed in Whistler pre-season, broke both ankles. The fact that she was racing again and limping to the block shows just what these sliders are made of. 5:31 getaway. That's her quickest in the competition. Again,
and we talk a lot about her coming back from injury, but she's also changed equipment too. She's now on that Bobsleigh sled, and so to learn basically to re-push again and new equipment really shows how good of an athlete she is.
8th place overnight. She is now up to 7th on the splits. She is out driving Jacqueline Lurling, with whom, and with Tina Hermann, Kim Marmons learned to slide because she too is a product of the German program.
Great speed out of Horseshoe.
Little nudge there, but the best speed we've seen so far. What it is about the Low Countries. Fastest sled, Kimberly Boss. Now fastest sled is not from the Netherlands, it's from Belgium. It's Kim Marmons. Well, she's still closing in on Tina Herman, but I think that is a long, long stretch. She should be ahead of Jacqueline Lurling at the line and moves up from 8th to 7th. No, does not get there. Richard Bromley there on the right-hand side, the sled builder, along with brother Kristen. And Anna Mirabel helping out with the coaching. Well, she lost speed down at the bottom there, didn't she? That nudge away, again, we've seen so often from Devil's Dyke. Looks so innocuous and yet robs you of so much speed.
So calm there in Horseshoe, and a different technique than we've seen other athletes doing. She's just putting in that counter steer and not that trying to take it off the line. That bump into Devil's Dyke just puts her in a bit of a skid. And then this is, I think, what really took her speed, is that bump right before Gunter Sachs.
Yeah, a flop out of leap. And that takes away the speed. So, 4th fastest run of the heat so far. And next up, Jackie Narracott from Australia. 10th fastest in the first run, 10th fastest in the second, out of starts that were only 18th and 17th in the field. So 5:40, anything below that is an acceleration for Jackie Narracott. 5:41, same as her previous start.
Her parents flew in from Australia to cheer her on at this World Champs, and they took 2 runs down as well in a bobsled.
Oh, nice. Yeah, she said that she was trying to organise that. The winner here last year in the last pre-Olympic race in St. Moritz.
Ooh, big skid.
And that is going to cost her, and Jackie Narracott does not have much of an advantage over Olympic bronze medalist Laura Dees. So it's Olympic silver medalist 22 versus Olympic bronze medalist 18.
Oh, bit of a bump there too. Just a little bit off her line today.
Yeah, not catching Kim Marmons right now. She was only 800s behind the Belgian after the first 2 runs. That gap is going to open up a little. It's going to open up a lot, in fact. She's only got 6th best speed at the bottom. The Bromley sled is not flying today the way it did yesterday. 109.43. That is a second slower than Kimberly Boss. Boss still with the fastest run of the heats so far. 108.48.
Coming off that second little kink, she just gets to that left wall and ends up hitting just a piece of ice that's built out a little bit more than the rest of the wall. Just ends up fighting as she heads into wall. Coming off of Snake 2 into a big skid, just trying to bring it back.
It's all there.
There's Kristen Bromley, the sled builder.
Better than yesterday.
Better than yesterday? Well, we'll wait and see what the rest of the day brings. Here's Laura Dees from Great Britain. New sled for her this season as well. The British programme with new sleds built by Matthias Guggenberger and Martin Stuckurs, which has, she says, completely transformed what they can do. Now then, she is in 10th spot, but the 6th and 7th place starts. So let's see if she can just find a bit more pace from the sled today.
Another strong start by Laura. She's been fighting for medals in the past, and it's good to see her on this new equipment really putting in some good results again.
Bronze medalist in 2018, as was Jackie Narracott's husband, Don Parsons, in the men's race. And Laura, nice, quiet run so far.
Her second run yesterday looked really good as well, so we'll be curious to see if she can move up a little bit.
Nice exit out of the horseshoe. That will help build speed. Oh, it hasn't really. Maybe just working a little too hard on the sled. Here we go. This is better. Needs to be clean from leap into bridge, into Sachs, and she kind of had a skid from leap to Sachs. 8th best speed at the bottom. This will be enough to move her up 1 spot ahead of Jackie Narracott, and she is now 2300s behind Kim Marmons. There's Martin Stuckurs, at the head of the British coaching setup, trying to recapture the glory days for British skeleton. Matt Weston claiming gold this morning in the men's competition, never headed at any stage. Laura Dees with 1 spot picked off Needs to find a bit more pace in herself in the second run.
In horseshoe there, you see that left toe dropping. We skeleton athletes steer with our toes, so she's just trying to impact the sled as much as possible. You can see her right knee is actually into the sled as well as she heads into telephone.
Yeah, she was kind of hedging her bets with both toes down there in horseshoe, just trying to nudge the sled the way she wanted. She lies ninth ahead of Jackie Narracott. Suzanne Creyer is our leader after they have completed 3 heats. Out of the top 10 now, and to rookie Hallie Clark, just 18 years old, the former lacrosse and figure skater from Calgary in Ontario, and she was just 100th behind Laura Dees after the first 2 runs.
Definitely, this is a young athlete. She competed at the Youth Olympic Games in St. Moritz, Switzerland as well. Started in Calgary and has really come into her own as an athlete.
Slid for the Canadian program right up to this season when she started for the USA. Has had a good World Cup, starting with a tie for the silver medal in Whistler. The season opener really arrived with a bang, and she could be on target for a top 10 run here as well. That loose run from Jackie Narracott is not helping the Aussie. Hallie Clark doesn't quite have the speed of the Bromley sled at the moment.
A little bit skiddy there at the bottom.
Good run, nevertheless. Only her third time on this track, and across the line, 9th best run. She is ahead of Jackie Narracott. Little round of applause from Matt Antoine, the US coach, and who knows all about sliding on this track. Liz, of all the things you forget from your skeleton career, the bumps, the bruises, the tears and everything else, do you forget how nice this track is, how nice St. Moritz is?
No, I think that's a feeling I will never forget. St. Moritz is certainly something special as an athlete to be sliding there. You start in St. Moritz, you end in the next town, Tell Arena. Really, it's not like sliding on any other track. And even when you take the hits, it's like you take your helmet off, you're still in St. Moritz.
That's a very nice way of putting it. Well, Hallie Clark in the top 11 now, in the top 10. And what about Valentina Margallo? Her young teammate, 23-year-old Amadeo Banyas, absolutely rocked men's skeleton to its core. Second in the first heat, then did exactly the same in 3 more heats to take Italy's first ever World Championship skeleton medal with the silver. Valentina, well, she's fighting to get into the top 10 with a start record 5:10. That is fantastic.
That's a 10th off her start from yesterday.
Well, I wondered yesterday what was up with her, because normally she is among the very fastest starters, and she was sort of in the top 6.
Oh, yeah. Everyone else has gotten a little bit slower or around the same, not taking a 10th off their start in this heat.
Maybe she had a little bit for breakfast of whatever Amadeo Banyas has had for the last couple of days, because she still drives a sled well. She is a bit kind of Kristen Bromley rock and roll and a bit loosey-goosey, but she's got good speed. She's gone from 12th into the top 10 at the moment, and look at the speed.
Where was this yesterday? This is a great looking run by Valentina.
Well, it looks as though Willi Schneider, their coach, got the setup absolutely right for the men. Spot on in all 4 heats, but oh, a little clip there from Martino to Portago. Second fastest run. Willi, you've done it again, giving the athletes everything they need.
Yeah, did she ever?
Boy, oh boy. Well, she jumped 2 spots, but that could have been a couple more as well, but for that big hit at the bottom. No wonder she's a bit winded. She hit the wall there doing over 80 miles an hour. Beg your pardon, over 86 miles an hour.
We get to see this start again. She's such a powerful, strong, fast athlete. Really great push by her.
She's got more speed than hair, and boy, has this woman got some hair. Boom, look at that. I mean, and actually, that hit on the ankle, that's going to be very sore for the final start. Hannah Neiser is the women's skeleton Olympic champion. Here she is in 13th place after 2 heats of the World Championship. She's also our reigning junior world champion, and she's in trouble into the first little dink. 12th best start and trouble taking speed out of the sled.
Looks really uncomfortable on her sled there. You see her right elbow's kind of poking out. Her shoulders are moving off the sled. Just doesn't look quite as relaxed as we've seen her before.
No, and not half as relaxed as anybody in the top 10 ahead of her either. Hannah Neiser, well, she was just a couple of hundredths, in fact, a 10th behind Valentina Margalio from the first heat. I'm not sure that she's going to maintain that margin. If she does, then it'll be a huge performance increase. Oh,
big hit there.
and you know, it nearly threw her off the sled. She was really fighting to stay on out of Horseshoe.
It's going to take all of her speed out. She didn't hit 100 out of Horseshoe. She's down 3-4 kilometers here.
Well, listen, she was 13th overnight. She'll be doing very well to be 13th after this run.
Oh, and a tap there, I think, as she headed into Martineau as well.
So many of the tripwires have got her. 109.82. That's 6 tenths, 3 tenths slower than Jacqueline Lurling, which is so far the other slowest run. Even Jackie Narracott had a couple of tenths in hand over Hannah Neiser. So Neiser remains at the bottom of the pile, 13th out of 13. What if she's ever been 3.3 seconds off the lead in a race before?
Shoot,
one heat
she's going to be
go.
kicking herself. Yeah.
Look at this.
Big hit, though. And I think tape is getting flown off as well. Has too much height at the exit of Horseshoe. And big bump on the wall.
Yeah.
Our sleds do have bumpers on them, so ideally that piece of metal is hitting before our arms do. The women are pretty small and can make that happen, but...
Yeah, a shrug from Hannah Neiser. What can you do? Well, for Xiaodan of China, on the opposite end of the gold medal scale, 7th in the Youth Olympics was her first appearance here. She was 9th in the Winter Games in February 2022. And right now, she is chasing down the woman who finished 8 spots ahead of her on the Beijing track, Olympic champion Hannah Neiser.
Really nice low chin position there. It's important for athletes to get their heads nice and low, keep it nice and aerodynamic.
She outstarted Hannah by 11 hundredths of a second. She was only 17 hundredths back. She's moving up. Hannah Neiser is getting pushed down the order by Xiaodan of China.
And gets out of Horseshoe clean.
Oh, but not great speed. Quicker than Hannah Neiser, it has to be said.
Yep.
And 11th best speed. And again, we're going to see one of Dirk Matchant's sliders ahead of his former teammate, or his former prodigies rather, Hannah Neiser. 7th best speed at the bottom. Xiaodan, good run from her, 10th fastest. She moves up ahead of Hannah Neiser.
That's a real smile for Dirk.
Dirk's day is getting better and better and better. The Chinese are really firing on all 12 cylinders here. First World Championship, she's ahead of the Olympic champion after 3 heats.
Oh.
Well, one of the last of Mark Wood's junior development athletes. Another one of them took the gold in the men's competition, Matt Weston, this morning. And Xiaodan, one that he marked out a number of years ago for future greatness in the Chinese team. Long skied here, but she just about gets on to Devil's Dyke cleanly. And she picks off the Olympic champion, which has got to be a good feeling. Kelly Delka from Puerto Rico, more experienced than Xiaodan. This is a woman who's got 2 previous World Championship appearances under her belt, and she had a really good first day, and if she can capture that again, then she too could move up the order.
Kelly is a really good slider. She's a bit slower on the start, but she does know how to drive a sled. It's her first race this year where she has some coaching support, and so I think we can really see how that's affected her result.
Made her World Championship debut in Whistler 2019, had a little clip there on the wall coming into Snake. Her best result then, her first 19th place on her debut. She's 15th overnight. shifting position on the sled, not getting the best out of it yet.
Not bad speed out of horse, and a little bit of a skid there into Devils.
Yep. And that's taking speed out of the sled. Hannah Nizer may survive the attack from Puerto Rico.
Doesn't have the speed here.
Oh, no, she doesn't. So, well, Kelly was 15th overnight. Let's see if she's got enough in the tank to hang on to that. 1:10.27 for Kelly Delka. Jack Thomas there up at the top of the track as well. And here comes one of her development teammates, Meg Henry, to help out with the sled. Meg down at the bottom.
You see Kelly on the start block there, waiting to see when she wants to go.
Mike Douglas,
That's
the former
her.
Canadian slider, yelling her off at the top.
Her coach, Mike Douglas, yeah. As she loads onto her sled, she's going to pop those hands underneath her to hold onto the handles. This is into Devils. Now, athletes have been taking that tap. She opted for a bit more of a skid instead.
Yeah, I wonder if she just got a little late pressure, got pitched in sideways. However, next up is, well, Puerto Rico versus Brazil. This is Nicole Rocha Silveira. Nicole, full World Cup season this year. 16th place, and she was 300s behind Kelly Delka, so that's a tantalising opportunity to try and move up. 5:36, she starts 1200s quicker than Kelly. Oh, but this is a disastrous run down the second straight.
Potentially she went for a bit looser setup for this first heat of the day, and really is affecting her.
Well, that's really cost her. That's cost her about 0.2 of a second. She's gone from 2.6 to 3 seconds back on the leader at that stage, and that means Kelly Delka can possibly breathe a sigh of relief. Nicole Silveira, struggling on day 2.
Just struggling to find that line, just fighting the sled.
She was 1 spot better than her last World Championship performance of 17th, which was her best. In fact, the 21 Worlds in Altenburg, the first time she made the 4th and final heat. And that's what we're thinking about now. 1:10.20, so a fraction quicker down the ice than Kelly Delka, just enough to overhaul her by 0.04 of a second.
She's got lots to improve on for that 4th heat.
Yeah, she does, so does Kelly. Eric Nielsen there to help out. Oh, but... Yep, getting that first corner. I mean, you come down almost head-on into that wall, don't you? It's really hard to manage, and the second kink is just as tricky.
Definitely, and because those change every single year, you don't really have a solid game plan when you return. Just seems to get her a little bit off of what she was expecting. Here's into telephone, takes that tap as well.
Kendall Wessenberg of the USA in 17th place overnight. She's 1100s behind Nicole Silveira, who we have just seen. Kendall looking to try and move up. 22nd only in the first heat, 13th fastest run in the second. Let's see another one of those from Kendall Wessenberg, and that will change the complexion of her day.
She's on that new Bromley sled again this year, and it's really done great things for her in the track.
Well, she's made a good start already, picked off Kelly Delka at this stage on the split time. She's up a spot. Now she's up to 15th at Sunny.
Into Nash and into Dixon. She has struggled with injuries. She's waiting for back surgery as well. So her starts are not where we would expect them to be.
Quite a lot of steering in Horseshoe, but it's paid off. 8th best speed. She's clean into Devil's Dyke as well. This is going to see her speed up the order. Now, can she catch and pass the Olympic champion, Hannah Nizer? That would be a very big scalp right now. Big skid there into the Gunter Sachs curve. 12th best speed. I don't think she's going to get Nizer, but she moves up 2. She'll be 15th at the line. She's 14th. She did get the Olympic champion. Oh, my goodness. Kendall Wessenberg goes from 17th overnight, jumps the Olympic champion and Nicole Severa and Kelly Delka, 14th with 1 to go.
That was a good run by her.
Wowee.
Into horseshoe here, nice height. Normally we would want to see athletes close to the roof, but not this season. Just peeking out as she's exiting. See those toes getting ready to drag. This was really good into Devils. Maybe a little bit of a skid. I don't think so.
Take that.
Yeah,
All right, one more like that, and she'll be knocking on the door of the top 10, Kendall Wessenberg. So as we get down towards 20, what about the Czech Republic's Anna Fernstedt? She will race in the teams competition with her young teammate and cousin Timone. So let's see what she can do in the singles first. Another, like Kim Malman's product of the German system. She went to the Christopher Schülerin Berchtesgaden, right beside the Königssee track, and that's where she started her love affair with this sport.
Definitely not the quickest starter, but she's really a great pilot.
Overnight, 400s behind Kendall Wessenberg, so if she has any kind of a Wessenberg run, then she too will move up. She's already picked off Kelly Delka, 16th on the splits as she got to Sunny, so she's on the move too.
Nice entry there into telephone.
Oh, hit
No
before
speed.
Devil's Dyke. No, not much speed. I don't know if that's going to be enough to keep her ahead of Kelly Delka.
Again, no speed here at this part of the track, out of the trees.
Not the third run she needed out of Fernstedt. Again, paddling with both feet to try and get the sled away from the wall. This is not going to move her up the order. And she remains in 17th spot. Implacable face of her coach, Jeff Payne. So no movement up the order. She's 100th behind Kelly Delka. Any one of those tiny little moments could have made the difference.
Coming here into Devil's Dyke, she takes a pretty big bump on that slider's right side. And then she's fighting off that left wall, and it puts her a bit too much right. And I think she actually does take a tap before Martineau as well.
Brogan Crowley for Great Britain. 2 British sliders hovering at the bottom of the top 20 after the first day of action. 6th fastest and 4th fastest starts for Brogan Crowley. And she lays down a 5:31. Now that is over a tenth slower than she managed in the first day, but she gets a nice clean run down the order.
Oh, just sleds looking a little bit loose underneath of her, just fighting it a bit too much. Into snake 1 and snake 2 here. I think she just keeps off the wall. She heads into sunny corner.
28 years old, raced in the Winter Games, finished just outside the top 20. Brogan Crowley in her 2nd World Championships. Let's see if she can improve. She needs to stay in here. She's got decent speed, 16th quickest. She needs to put at least Anna Fernstedt behind her if she can.
Brogan Crowley.
Needs to have a good run here on those bottom right-handed corners.
Again, she's on the new BTR Tech sled built by Matthias Guggenberger and Martin Stuckers. 15th best speed at the bottom, little wavy into Martineau. Out of Portago, she's in 19th place out of 19 sleds. 1:10.12 for Brogan Crowley. And just to remind you, the significance of this is not their gap to the leader, it's whether or not they finish in the top 20.
Top 20 get that 4th and final heat. So we're going to start seeing athletes drop out of that top 20 and trying to fight to stay in. Here she is loading onto her sled, just a little bit off the pace we're used to seeing her. I know she's struggling with injuries. She's had many surgeries during her athletic career. And then when she is on the sled, just a little bit too loose underneath her, and she's trying to fix it counterweight with her body, just doesn't quite come back. Unfortunately, big skid there as she heads into the Dixon corner.
All right, mixed run there for Brogan Crowley. Now, what about her young teammate, Tabby Stocker, on one of the older Blackrock sleds? So Tabby made her World Cup debut with teammate Freya Tarbit a few weeks ago, and then they stayed in Winterberg for the Junior Worlds. Freya was due to be here, but injured herself and couldn't make it, so Tabby gets a surprise call-up. 5:30 start for her, and again, 1,500 slower than her starts yesterday. She was the fastest in the field.
Yeah, I was thinking when she hopped on her sled, may have been a little bit too soon.
And that's a disaster on the run down into the into wall.
She's gonna just be trying to hold on, just stay in that top 20, but unfortunately, this is opening the door for the athletes behind her.
She's only 700ths ahead of Li Yuxi of China from the first heat.
She's a young athlete, so I'm sure we're going to see her around a lot. She's just going to keep developing and start to learn how to deal with these kind of little bit of oopses that we're seeing down the track.
Yeah, only her first full season on ice, Tabby Stocker, and she finds herself in the glare of the World Championships in St. Moritz. There'll be no disappointment for the team. She'll be disappointed if she doesn't make the top 20. Long skid down into Martineau and across the line in Portago. She is behind Brogan Crowley. She remains for the moment in 20th place, but she is on the bubble.
It's a bit of a bummer run that she potentially is ending her World Champs campaign, but great experience for her.
Well, she was the start record holder yesterday, and that remains hers, but she may not get that fourth and final heat.
No, and she just ends up going kind of short around that second kink of a curve, gets stuck on the wall, and it just, oh, it's so difficult to bring back. Big skid here as well. Could be setup, could be experience, but...
Well, look, great to see her here. Former circus trapeze artist. Yes, really. Tabby Stocker, 20th place. We round out our top 20 sleds, and we have 10 more to go. So the door is open for Li Yuxi of China. Can she snatch that 20th place away and get herself into the final heat? 17th best start. That is a good way to begin. 5:43, though, gives away an awful lot of time to Tabby Stocker, who is her target.
Definitely. She's going to be wanting to move ahead into that top 20 to make sure she's getting all four runs. Big skid, though, in Snake 2.
And she was only 700s behind Tabby Stocker. I wonder if these young sliders are just feeling the pressure to perform in the final run. Just 24 years old, Lee, her first World Championships as well. She would love the fourth heat. She's clean, she's in the race at the moment, little nudge away, but she's 15th best speed. This is enough right now.
Really got to hold on here at the bottom of the track. Not the greatest speed here at 1:11.8.
Oh, she's in real trouble. Massive, massive skid just flung her into Gunter Sachs curve, and I'm not sure that she's got enough. It's going to be touch and go at the line. Is she in? She is. Unbelievable.
I have never seen that before.
I don't know what that feels like, and I'm pretty sure I don't want to experience it. What are they doing now? 65, 70 miles an hour, and she just gets thrown up onto the corner.
Wow. I'm sure we'll see that here in the replay. That was
I was just told her, you're in.
I'm sure she has great form as she heads into there, too. Just gets an unlucky bump there, and then you think this is Gunter Sachs. She's going to get some airtime. Not even a little bit of airtime. Oh, my goodness.
Still, they're only doing 70 miles an hour plus, you know, whatever. She's in the race at the moment, and the danger perhaps for her might be from Sarah Schmidt of Switzerland, our youngest athlete, just 17 years old. Little bump on the wall, 5:45. She's starting right about where Li Yuxi did, but she is 4 tenths back. So, boy, she better know where the Swiss shortcut is.
I slid with Sarah a few seasons back, and she told me how to properly pronounce Celerina. It's Celerina.
Celerina, exactly. It's got that Italianate feel that so many words in Romansh do. There's a kind of combination of Sankt Moritz, which is a very Germanic, and just down the hill, Celerina, which has got the very Italian name.
And that's where she's from.
Now, she's heading home down the hill.
Good speed.
15th best speed, but a hit going into Devil's Dyke. That's going to take speed away.
Can she bring it back here?
I mean, right now, she needs to climb 2. She's ahead of Tabby Stocker of Great Britain, but she needs to catch Li Yuqi of China. At least she doesn't come flying into the Gunter Sachs curve. How close is this going to be? It is Li or Schmidt. And it is Li who stays in. Well, there's the fan club, Hopsvies, I'm contractually obliged to say. And Sarah Schmidt, 17 years old, the youngest athlete in the field. Big smile for her. Next time she races in the World Championships, I think we will expect a little more from her, and she will from herself as well. But great to see her in action here on our home ice.
Definitely a bit of a skid there out of Snake Shoe. Seen so many athletes do it. And then here into Devils as well. She's going to take quite a big bump on the slider's right side. Hi!
All right, in the infancy of her career, Sarah Schmidt. Kelly Curtis in her first World Cup season this year. 12th and 13th at the start. She has got a decent start, but 25th in the first heat, 19th fastest in the second run, brought her a couple of spots up the order. Let's see if she can move up again. Ooh, a lot of work going on.
Takes a lot out of that first curve. She's got to really settle down here and try to fight for that top 20 spot.
She lives in Italy. She and her husband moved there during the summer. She's using that as her base to try and prep for Milan Cortina 2026.
A little bit swirly
long
here.
skid.
Yeah.
Well, she's picked off Tabby Stocker at the moment, but actually that might drop her back behind.
Looking to be a little bit more composed here, though, than she was yesterday.
Yep. Again, another day of experience on the track for Kelly Curtis. Certainly is not hurting.
Got through that really tricky Devil's Dyke position that so many athletes are struggling with.
Raced here once before, and that was in the World Cup race before the Olympics last February. She finished 22nd then.
Not a bad run she's putting down here, out of Horseshoe.
Beg your pardon, she finished 6th then. She finished 21st in the Olympic Games, and she takes 20th place away from Li Yuqi. That is a huge final part of the run. 109.81 for Kelly Curtis. She is in the 4th heat. Now, I don't know if she was expecting that.
Yeah.
She was 51 hundredths, half a second out of 20th place overnight.
Loading onto the sled there, heads nice and low into Snake 2. I think she gets a little bit of a skid, and that made that transition from Snake 2 to Sunny really difficult. Lots of height, puts her into that big skid. See Toes trying to stop it.
Always slides with legs akimbo. Very Katie Uhlaender style of sliding, but it's worked. She's in the top 20. Now, what about Estonia's Darta Zunta? The last time we saw her, she was in maroon and white. She was sliding for Latvia. Her mother's side of the family are Estonian, and she lives very close to the border between Latvia and Estonia. She is now sliding in the World Championships for the first time as an Estonian athlete.
She learned with the Latvians, like you mentioned, so she is quite an experienced slider, having learned from Martins and Thomas.
Previous World Championship best on her debut was 28th spot. She's ahead of that at the moment. She's raced here in the World Cup and twice in the Junior World Championships in the last few years, so she's got relatively decent knowledge of St. Moritz for some of the younger sliders.
She looks really relaxed here on her sled.
Yeah. Just 22 years old. Sled is built by her coach, so it is specifically tailored for her, and 15th best speed.
She's putting in a pretty good run here.
Yeah, she is. Haven't seen her in the World Cup for a couple of years, but be great to see Estonia represented in so many smaller nations and newer nations here in the World Championships this year. Is she going to get to Tabby Stocker of Great Britain? No, she does not quite manage that. 1:10.24.
Not a bad run to end her World Championships campaign.
Yep, and right now she is on a World Championship best for herself. Like I said, she was 28th in Altenburg 2020 for Latvia, and she is currently lying in 24th spot.
See her loading onto the sled there. She's going to pop her hands underneath her legs. It's a relatively new-ish thing over the last 15 years. We used to have our arms to our sides, and now they tuck under our legs to be a bit more aerodynamic, a little bit more control and feeling on the sleds.
Away from the start comes another one of our young debutantes, Anna Saulita. And this is another Latvian refugee, started in the Latvian program, now sliding for another nation with red and white for Austria.
And she came out of luge, so her sliding career didn't start in skeleton, but when she swapped over to Austria, she also swapped where she was facing down the ice track.
Yeah, luge, feet first, skeleton, head first. Very different sleds, very different driving techniques. A lot of bobsledders convert from luge because you can start so much younger on a luge sled. And in fact, you know, you and I have been in Innsbruck many times where they've had kids as young as 3 and 4 starting down at the bottom of the track on luge sleds.
Definitely. They got small. They also have small skeleton sleds. My husband started at 7 years old for skeleton as well, so...
Yeah, and Christian Auer, who we were talking about earlier in the men's race, took his boys down when they were sort of 3 and 4. He was on the sled as well, didn't just push them off the top and go sink or swim.
Yeah, and Alex Auer sent his kid down last year at 2 years old as well.
Clearly insanity runs deep in the family. 21st best speed for Anna Saulita, and across the line to round out her World Cup debut. There is Alex Auer on the left. Like I said, not entirely normal. 1:10.5. He's lovely. 1:10.51 for Anna Saulita, and she will be in 25th place for the moment. Her World Cup, World Championship debut is complete. Her World Cup debut has yet to come.
Here she is in horseshoe. We're going to see that left toe dropping just to impact the sled. Really dropping off of horseshoe quite aggressively into that left wall.
Well, for a long time, Janine Flock has been plying her own trade as Austria's pretty much only skeleton slider, apart from the odd appearance from a couple of others, but nice to see a second Austrian in the field. Janine Flock up in the lead group. Anna Saulita completed her race in 25th. Alessia Kripper raced last weekend in Europe Cup in Sigulda. This is a definitely very different place to slide. Now, kind of expected Alessia to be quite a long way further up the order because of things like that start, but she cannot sort out the exit of that first corner.
No, and she's a relatively small and light athlete, so potentially it's just making this area a little bit more difficult.
Third
Just
World
lacking a little
Championships,
bit of grip. Yeah.
Third World Champs for her, and she's done 2 Junior Worlds on this track, as well as raced in the World Cup. But Alessia Kripper, her World Championship best has been a 22nd place finish.
Just no grip today for her.
And you mentioned that, you know, she is really quite slight. I mean, she's Sarah Reid kind of Diddy, isn't she? So she's not got a lot of mass. When you need minimum contact patch for maximum speed, which you do here in St. Moritz, at the slower parts of the track, she's got almost no control at all.
So she'd have a much heavier sled than a lot of the other athletes. So on the push start, too, it's going to be a little bit trickier for her. But, yeah.
Yeah. 1:11.59, no improvement on 26th place, so she does not get to Anna Saulita.
think she'll be happy to be seeing the tail end of St. Moritz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the racing is done in St. Moritz for this year, and she's not a happy camper, really frustrated with herself. And here's that run out of the first corner that can just shoot you down in flames. It is so tough.
So tricky, and it changes every single year. Like you said, it looks like you're going head on into a wall as you go into that first kink, and then if you get pushed off too much, it's really hard to bring it back.
And she gets pinged sideways. She almost got squared up by the wall, and then a little bit of ice sticking out, flicked her sideways. Well, hardly surprised. She looks so crestfallen. Now then, for Liechtenstein, Katharina Eigenmann. Great to see Liechtenstein represented in men and women's skeleton. I'm sure that's the first time that's happened.
Oh, definitely, at least in my memory.
And of course, we have the mixed teams skeleton competition coming up at 8 o'clock on Sunday morning. So a female and a male slider from each nation. Each nation may have up to 2 teams. And we understand there should be 25 teams competing. So it's going to be a massive bun fight.
That's awesome.
It is absolutely fantastic. And it's things like this, you know, 2 from Liechtenstein. We've never had a Liechtenstein team before. Anna Fenstedt not alone for the Czech Republic. Her cousin is here in the men's race, so suddenly there's a Czech Republic team. And all of those little things add up. We're not having to sort of combine nations under an IBSF flag as we have done in the past.
And we have Spain, we have also Belgium. Like, really, it's going to be awesome to watch.
And good speed from Katharina Eigenmann at the moment. This is a really good run. Her previous 2, 1:10.56, 1:10.71. This looks better. It is a 1:10.71. That's as quick as she's been on her second heat yesterday, and that moves her up the order ahead of the unfortunate Alesia Kripa. So that was another good, solid performance. Katharina Eigenmann, when the athletes clapping their heels like that, that's a kind of, yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
I think she should be.
To get the snow off our shoes so we don't wipe out in the run. Here she is out of that first kink. You're going to see those toes tapping behind her left and right, just trying to bring it back. She does it quite successfully.
21 years old, raced here first time in the Youth Olympic Games in 2020 and 2 Junior Worlds here since then. That is a happy camper.
Definitely.
Okay, 3 sleds to go, and again, another new nation to the World Championships, Colombia, represented here by Laura Vargas. She has not raced here before, just 23 years of age, very limited racing experience. Her first major race was the Youth Olympic Games in 2016. She finished just inside the top 20 in 18th place.
Definitely, this race for her is experience. Getting in front of the cameras, getting in under the lights and seeing what she can put down.
Yeah, been a while since her Youth Olympic Games experience, and now she is building on that. And this is a nice looking slide as well.
Definitely, just a little bit of troubles at the top there, but she's pulled it back together. Nice exit to horseshoe.
And again, we sort of talked about this a little bit when you've got some of the athletes that are really quite new to this track, giving them just a bit more control, maybe sacrificing some of that top speed, helps to build the confidence.
Definitely, so the next time she returns here, there's not a bad feeling or something like this. She'll know exactly where to start out from, have a set of track notes so she knows what to come back to.
I think your first view every year of the mountains here in the Engadine probably just deletes all the bad memories you might have had from the previous season, but 1:11.67 for Laura Vargas. And that is quicker than she went in Heat 2 yesterday. Her best was a 1:11.34 in the first heat of the competition, but she is done. Her first World Championship appearance representing Colombia.
Welcome to the World Championships, Colombia. We're super excited to have more nations represented for sure here.
Yeah, that'll nudge away early on in the run. This is down into Sunny, nudged away in Snake. Big smile from Laura Vargas for Colombia, and we have 1-2 to go now. Ana Torres Quevedo for Spain, and Mirambel with the sled, the man who has... I think that was, go on, off you go, hurry up. And actually, probably even more important than that, have fun. You know, for all the first-time athletes, whether you're at the top or at the bottom of the pile, it doesn't matter. It's your first time. If you don't enjoy it now, then you're never going to get the chance to enjoy it.
Definitely. Chris Spring, the bobsledder from Canada, always said fun is fast, and I think that is so true in both bobsled and skeleton.
The more fun you're having, the more relaxed you are, the less you overdrive, and especially on the skeleton sled where the body is so much of the overall weight of the sled.
Definitely. Just got to let the sled fly and just really enjoy it. I mean, we toboggan for a living head first. It's quite awesome to be able to do.
Nice run into horseshoe, good form. She lands it beautifully into telephone through Shamrock. Little touch into Devil's Dyke. 21st speed. She's our 29th athlete.
You know, she's put down a good run here, Martin.
Yes, she is. Having a very good debut, just 21 years of age. Played field hockey, so whatever background of sport you come from, if you're watching this thinking that looks like fun, A, yes, you're right, it is fun, and B, you can do it too. You've just got to have a screw loose, that's all. 1:12.07. All the best people are slightly mad, aren't they?
A little bit. That was a great run by her, though. What a way to enter World Championships. That'd probably be a personal best by about half a second.
And again, for the first time ever, the possibility of a Spanish team in the teams competition. Her and Adrian, you know, there you are.
Totally.
Exactly.
And, you know, these athletes have not been sliding very long, and she's a really good feel on the sled. You can see her going into telephone here. Great lines. Into Devil's Dyke. Gonna take that tap, but that's what we've seen nearly every athlete do.
Okay, final sled now will be from another small nation, Malta, tiny Mediterranean island, not best known for its mountain ranges, as it doesn't have any, but here we have Shannon Galea representing Malta, a former professional softball player, played in the Dutch leagues, she's played in Australia, New Zealand, a whole host of different sporting activities. She's part of Canada's Olympic Committee, and she is working with the IOC's inclusivity crew as well, and she has already started to move up.
Definitely, and she's looking to grow that Maltese program. She wants bobsledders and skeleton athletes to be able to follow her legacy.
We've lost, unfortunately, the Virgin Islands' Katie Tannenbaum. Obviously, she too got injured overnight and has not started in Heat 3. So probably an even smaller, even hotter island than Malta.
Definitely.
Well, she was up to 29th ahead of Spain's Ana Torres Quevedo, but she has dropped back a fraction in the forest, and that shows that Ana had a good run as well. Shannon Galea, still very new to the sport, 34 years of age. Came here in January 2022 for the European Championships race. So that was her previous race on this track, 1:12.66. And that rounds out her World Championships and our third heat. And the first ever appearance in the Worlds for Malta. So congratulations to her for the simple fact of making that happen. That is not the easiest thing, to create a sporting body from scratch.
No, and you're right. She did create the sporting body from scratch, and she wants it to grow. She wants to see more Maltese athletes coming and doing skeleton and bobsled. So I look forward to seeing what the future holds for this program.
Yep.
Everyone from Malta. Hi, Mom, Dad, Kathleen, Mike. First World Champs. It's a good experience.
Family moved from Malta to Canada when she was still very young, but she still has a very strong Maltese roots. And she rounds out the run. At the top of the pile is the woman who led overnight, Susanne Kreher of Germany. 23 years old, the 2022 Junior World Champion, is one run away from World Championship gold. and a quarter of a second advantage over Kimberly Boss. A very different look to the top group. Boss up to second, Jane Channel remains third, Janine Flock up to fourth, Mimi Reniva has gone from silver down to fifth place overnight. Tina Herman could overhaul her as well, and then Jacqueline Lurling with Kim Marmons coming up fast on the rails. Laura Dees is ninth ahead of Valentina Margalia, who started absolute gangbusters, just to ease ahead of Hayley Clark and Jacqueline Narracott. Xiao Dan and Kendall Wessenberg both picking off Hannah Nizer, the Olympic champion. And Kelly Curtis clings to 20th place. She will get our final heat underway as we go 20-1 to decide our final World Championship positions. From Li Yuxi and Sarah Schmid and Tabby Stocker and Dara Zunter and the rest, they will join the audience for the fourth and final heat of the Women's Skeleton World Championships. You can too. We will be back at 1500 local, 1400 GMT in 20 minutes from now. Till then, from Liz Meyer, from me, Martin Haven, and the IBSF TV crew, auf Wiedersehen from St. Moritz.
After the women's race at about 4:30 p.m. concert, and then the award ceremonies in the finish area. Also etwa 16:30 Uhr nach dem Rennen läuft das Konzert Florian aus, Zielbereich und dann anschließend die Siegerehrungen der beiden Rennen von heute. In etwas mehr als einer Viertelstunde geht es weiter mit den beiden Spurschlittern und dann um 15:06 Uhr vierter und alles entscheidender Lauf Skeleton Frau.